Hello guys, today I'd like to talk about the Rotel A12 integrated amplifier, go through its features and share with you my opinion on sonic performance. Also, I'd like to talk about how it performs as an analog amplifier versus the Rega Brio, which retails for the same price as the Rotel A12. Both cost just under $1,000 in the States. I will also talk about how it fares against the Audiolab 6000A integrated amplifier. That costs a little more at $1,200, but I see one right now at Audiogon from a dealer that's labeled new for $999. But since I had an opportunity to listen to all of these amps in my system, I wanted to share with you my take on their performances when using the built-in DACs, and also as analog amps using the built-in moving magnet phonos. Okay, so let's talk features. Feature-wise, the Rotel A12 is similar to the Audiolab 6000A, almost similar. The A12 and the 6000A both have built-in DACs. The A12 is based on the Wolfson DAC and the 6000A on the ESS Sabre chipset. As far as inputs are concerned, the Rotel has two SPDIF or coax and two optical inputs, Bluetooth. So does the 6000A. They have the same inputs. The A12, the Rotel A12, has an extra digital input versus the 6000A. That may be important to a few of us that use the USB input for digital music stored on your PC or on your iOS device. Same number of analog inputs versus the 6000A with the included built-in moving magnet phono. The Rega Brio, on the other hand, has 5 analog inputs, including the built-in phono, no built-in digital to analog converter. The Rega Brio is purely an analog integrated amplifier. Moving on to power ratings, the Rotel is a Class AB amp, just like the Rega Brio and the Audiolab 6000A. All three have sizable toroidal transformers. They have similar advertised power output ratings. The A12's published power rating is 60 watts at 8 ohms. No 4 ohm rating published, but as it is typical of the Rotel, on the test benches, they perform usually better. This article published by Sound and Vision measured the amp at 75 watts at 8 ohms at 0.1% THD and about 90 watts just before the onset of clipping and 1% THD at 8 ohms, 150 watts at 4 ohms at 0.1 THD and 165 at 4 ohms just before the onset of clipping. So numerically, power ratings are higher than the Rega, which, if I remember correctly, when tested by Stereophile magazine, was measured at about 50 and 80 watts at 8 ohms and 4 ohms respectively, just before the onset of clipping. If those tests were performed accurately in a standardized or very similar manner, which there isn't any standard, and tests were performed by different magazines, but if they were conducted similarly and accurately, then there'd be a rough doubling of power at 8 ohms and 4 ohms, and there'd be an advantage of 3 dB headroom just looking at the power ratings. Does this result in meaningful and audible advantage in sonic performance? That's what I'd like to talk to you about. My subjective take, my opinion on sonic performance. First, let's talk music on LP. I used an Artophon 2M Black cartridge, moving magnet cartridge, to feed into the built-in phono stages. This album is the 50th anniversary release of David Crosby's genre-defying psychedelic folk debut album. The label also says it's a remastered from original master tapes, and boy, does it show. I'm especially partial to side 2. All tracks sound phenomenally good, psychedelic indeed. Vocals are just superb here. The music via the Rotel A12's built-in phono didn't do it complete justice. Like, I feel how good this album was recorded. The fullness in tone and detail didn't quite come through as I'm used to. So, in comes the Hi-Fi Zen's outboard phono stage. Review coming soon. Feeding the A12's aux input. Now we're talking. Mid-range magic was beginning to show. Bass and treble were satisfying, and the tone was pretty good. When comparing the built-in stages to the Audiolab 6000A, playing the same album, I'd pick the Rotel A12's phono input. But comparing to the built-in phono of the Brio, no contest. The Brio is extremely satisfying with better tonal colors and density and better weight and extension in the bass and treble departments. When comparing the A12 with the outboard Hi-Fi Zen phono versus the Rega Brio's built-in phono, I'd say the resolution in the mids was a draw there. They're both good. I still like the Brio's phono better because the built-in phono on the Brio brings richness and a very nice sweetness and air in the treble, and it had more weight in the bass. So let's switch to streaming music via Qobuz, feeding the DACs of the Rotel A12 and the Audiolab 6000A. If you aren't familiar with the band The Civil Wars, do your ears a favor and listen up. Their version of Sour Times is absolutely gorgeous. It's goosebump inducing. Stunning vocals from both Joy Williams and John Paul White. The Rotel A12 really brought out the bass heft and strumming of the guitars and the vocal reverbs of the recording venue. Solid tonal density. The same effect with their version of the late great Leonard Cohen's Dance Me to the End of Love. That song is also amazingly done. The mid-range clarity around the voices was stunning and emotive, very, very intimate. When compared to the 6000A, I felt like the Audiolab was equally resolving in the mid-range, but a bit more spacious in the rendition. Performance and instruments seemed to have more space around them in the sonic images, but less tonally saturated and a bit dry sounding, analytical sounding in comparison. So now, which is more accurate? I don't know. The more important question is, which presentation do you like? I preferred the tonality of the Rotel A12 when compared to the Audiolab 6000A when it came to the built-in DAC's performance. Now, feeding the Peachtree iDAC output into the analog aux inputs of all three amplifiers here, just to level the playing ground. They all did really good as just plain analog amplifiers. If you listen mainly to records, vinyl, and you like a detailed presentation, but like that denser and smoother tonal palette, I think you'll like the Rega Brio. Give that a listen. Go to your local Rega dealer and see if you can listen to that. If you listen mostly to digital and need a built-in DAC, I felt that the Rotel A12 sounded heftier and fuller than the 6000A. But the spacious and airy presentation of the 6000A was also very impressive. I feel that, like the Rega Brio, the A12 presented the music as a whole, almost making you pay more attention to the music than the hi-fi attributes per se, like soundstage, treble, bass, and all the mid-range and all that. But that's just my opinion. So I advise you to try and listen to them before making your decision. Also, I'd like to say, when picking an amplifier, it's not always about power rating, guys. It's about current capability. It's about bandwidth. It's about voicing based on components selected. It's about low electrical noise floor. Carefully designing isolation of low-level and high-level outputs. Volume control and execution and so many other things. I hope you get my point. So don't go by power ratings alone. There is a lot more to sonic performance, and 50 to 60 watts is plenty of power for realistic listening levels with reasonably efficient speakers. So that's about it, my friends. I hope you liked this video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please click that notification bell so you get notified of the new videos I post. Next up, I have some more integrateds, some affordable speakers, and some affordable phono stages lined up. I hope to find time to work on them and bring them to you soon. Thank you for watching. See you soon.